It's Euro 2020 scouting time. How's it going on, people? Welcome in. Check out my wicked Lampard shirt. It's beautiful, isn't it? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you lot are all doing well today. I really do hope that. Namaste. Welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series here, of course, on Football Therapy, where I see what's being said around the media, have a little read, give you my opinion, but more importantly, I then ask for yours. It's now common consensus that both Chelsea Football Club as a club and Thomas Tuchel as a manager are looking for a new central midfielder to bolster the midfield in Thomas Tuchel's Champions League winning side, because Chelsea are the champions of Europe. Euro 2020 being on is the perfect opportunity to watch some elite central midfielders, and I'm going to be citing an article from Football.London today talking about, reportedly, one of Thomas Tuchel's main targets, English midfielder Declan Rice. Decent amount of content to read today and dive into and analyse, so consider subscribing. If you're new, hit the bell notifications icon. Hey, only if you want to, mate, but if you do, drop a like as well. It helps me out. Also, I'm covering pretty much nearly every single Euro game on my other channel, Football Yannick. You can watch that content by clicking the link in the description. Do go subscribe to Football Yannick and support the new exciting project. Alright, that's enough admin out of the way. Let's get into today's content. Right, Declan Rice. Oddly, he sort of divides opinion in the Chelsea fan base, which I find peculiar because this guy is a really sort of impressive young man. He's a really positive and fun guy. You can watch him in all types of media stuff. He's really down to earth. He's just like a fun, friendly guy, but on the pitch he's mean and he's sort of combative. He's sort of everything you want in a footballing character, and of course he's a captain at such a young age. He's a transfer target of many elite clubs as now his talent is recognised. Of course, it's a frustrating one for Chelsea fans to take, because he was a Chelsea Academy player that left when he was about 14 years old, yet he'd been at the Chelsea Academy since he was as young as like Mason Mount and Reece James, etc. But Chelsea shouldn't beat themselves up too much, because sometimes you need to go somewhere different to make, to sort of walk your path and become the player you're supposed to be. It's like the butterfly effect, you know what I mean? Maybe if he stayed at Chelsea, he wouldn't have become this player. Anyway, there are certain sectors of the fan base that aren't interested in him, which personally I find baffling after watching what he can do on a football pitch and the personality traits he brings to a team. Obviously, Frank Lampard really wanted him. Apparently the board wasn't interested in that, but I'm reliably informed that Thomas Tuchel is a massive fan of Declan Rice as well. So it's just a manager thing. I think maybe on certain sectors of social media, when people mention Declan Rice, they probably I think some people feel threatened and go defending Jorginho, who is a Chelsea player as well. And remember, this is not looking for a Jorginho replacement, this is looking for the sort of fourth elite senior midfielder that, Thomas Tuchel wants. So it's a manager decision, it's a club decision, it's not a Jorginho replacement. Anyway, let's start reading into this article from Football.London and see what it has to say. After what has been like no other year, the vast majority of the population will be looking to gather around their TVs watching England lock horns with Croatia for their first game of Euro 2020 this afternoon. So exciting. Although I've heard Gareth Southgate is playing Trippier at left back over Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell. Ridiculous. But whilst almost everyone will be keeping a very close eye on England's opening game with Croatia, which will see the two sides stage a repeat of the 2018 World Cup semi-final, in the hope that the Three Lions will get off to the perfect start and give themselves a platform to build on ahead of Friday's mouth-watering assignment with Scotland, Chelsea head coach Thomas Tuchel will also be keeping a watchful eye on proceedings, you would like to think. Although former Paris Saint-Germain boss will of course be rooting for his native Germany, the Chelsea chief will almost certainly be hoping to keep a close eye on as many games as possible, not only to see how well his own players are doing on the international stage, but also to see if he can spot any gems he may like to bring to Stamford Bridge in this summer transfer window. Right, now we're getting to the good stuff, and we've stopped talking about the pandemic and some sort of England glory, which I'm sure a lot of you aren't interested in. Also, you think Thomas Tuchel is probably the exact kind of coach that, watches as much football as he can, and he's obsessed with it. He sort of lives and breathes football. He's a football nerd, which is brilliant, because so am I. And Chelsea have a massive transfer budget, so if they can't spend it all on Erling Haaland and they give in on that, maybe they just spend all their money on loads of wicked elite European gems. It's very exciting. It's definitely FIFA career mode in real life. As well as keeping a watchful eye on that front, Tuchel may also pay very close attention to England's midfield for one reason in particular. This is because, as recently reported, the German is ready to reignite Chelsea's interest with West Ham midfielder Declan Rice. The Hammers ace was heavily linked to a move back to West London last summer, as former Blues boss Frank Lampard was desperate to add him to his armoury. Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, a lot of people like Declan Rice, but a lot of people also thought it was a Frank Lampard obsession. But then again, they thought the same thing about Mason Mount last season, or the season before last when he was playing him loads. They're like, oh, it's a weird Frank Lampard obsession. To be honest, he got a lot of things right. You got Mason Mount right, you know, he gave Reece James a chance, he got that right. He was right to give Billy Gilmore his debut. You know, if Tammy Abraham scored goals, he was right to do that. He was right to continue targeting Ben Chilwell and being persistent to bring him in. He was also right to convince Thiago Silva to join on a free. Thiago Silva said Frank Lampard's the reason why he joined and, you know, believed in him. So if you look at Chelsea's, I mean, I'm sure there's more as well. You look at Chelsea's starting 11, there's a lot of Frank Lampard there. Following his January exit, Chelsea's interest in Rice appeared to dwindle until now. Tuchel is said to be keen on adding him to his midfield and believes he could take his side, which is looking to compete for the Premier League title next season, a step closer towards achieving that ambition. In truth, Rice is almost certain to be a starter for England in the holding midfield role, with Jordan Henderson still working his way back to fitness. That immediately should offer Tuchel hope that he can have a good look at him in large chunks, opposed to cameo appearances from the substitutes bench. Basically, we all know, yes, Declan Rice is a nailed-on starter for England. I reckon there's 3 nailed-on starters. Kane, Rice, and dare I say Mason Mount. But that's not all. Southgate will be likely to play a 3-4-3 system this summer, which is similar to the Blues' approach when using wingbacks. West Ham do not play that sort of system, which means Tuchel could use England's Euro 2020 adventure to full effect to see how Rice looks in a system that relies so heavily on wingbacks and requires the defensive midfielder to keep the back three under at least pressure as possible. That is actually a good point. Basically, he wants to see if Declan Rice can perform in this system at the highest level. Is international football the highest level? That's another question for another day. But, you know, see how he plays, and see how he plays with potential Chelsea teammates. Furthermore, and this is where Tuchel can make the most gains from watching Rice in action, the West Ham ace is poised to be linking up with Chelsea star Mason Mount in the midfield. The duo, who are best friends off the pitch, would no doubt love nothing more than being able to play alongside each other at club level. Yeah, I think even Declan said he'd love to return to Chelsea one day. The chemistry the pair have between themselves is massive, meaning if they can translate that onto the pitch, then England and Southgate could have a real treat this summer. Both players have taken their respective games to the next level this season, announcing themselves once and for all as two of England's brightest prospects. While Mount has the desire to get forward, pick up the ball in the final third and score goals, Rice, although his main responsibility is to keep the midfield in check, also likes to creep forward, albeit not into as such dangerous areas. But it will be things like how Rice positions himself when Mount breaks forward, or how they relate to each other on the pitch, that Tuchel will be looking at. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. I'm reporting on this video because I've been informed that he genuinely does really like Declan Rice, and he knows he's an elite player that starts for England, so maybe he'll be looking at this. Actually, it might mean something. If he truly does want that midfielder, he probably does fit the bill quite well. Yes, I absolutely love the player Tchouaméni from Ligue 1. A difficult name to pronounce. He does look very good, and yes, lots of people that know lots about football say he's an incredible player and would be an excellent buy for Chelsea. I'm not denying that at all, but I completely understand why the gaffer would be looking at Declan Rice so closely. Let's finish this article. The German has his sights set on adding 3 new faces to his squad this summer. A new central midfielder is believed to be amongst his targets. Rice's ceiling, just like Mount's, is massive, and Tuchel can now find out just how well they link up with each other and carry on their respective duties at the very top level of the game. If Rice passes his audition, proving that he alongside Mount could take the Blues up another gear, Tuchel may well be asking Marina Granovskaya to do some sums and launch a formal offer for the West Ham star. Interesting, but it absolutely won't be cheap. I'm not entirely sure it will be the incredible sum of money that West Ham originally quoted or informally quoted like £80 million. I mean, he's probably worth a lot of money. In terms of, you know, again, I know it's not the benchmark, but Harry Maguire costing 80 or 85 million pounds to Man United for that level of player. I think Rice is a better player with a higher ceiling, and he's much younger. So by the Leicester to Man United standards, you know, Declan Rice would cost 100 million, 120 million. Obviously that is ridiculous, and Chelsea shouldn't go for that. But if Chelsea can secure Declan Rice for 60, maybe even 70 million, I could completely understand the fee. And if Chelsea have got the money, it's one of those things of, hey, if they've got the money, you get an amazing player, we move. Do you know what I mean? And it's not like in the history books there's a ridiculous, you know, it's still less than Kepa Arrizabalaga. Do you know what I mean? So there's that. Anyway, I would be really keen on this transfer. I think it is interesting, an interesting story, and giving Tuchel the opportunity to see how he performs at this level with this pressure on him, with a bunch of Chelsea players on the pitch as well. I like it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts below. Is there any other players you think Thomas Tuchel should be looking at in Euro 2020 for a potential scouting mission? Comment down below. If you like this kind of content, drop a like, it means a lot. Subscribe if you're new. Remember, daily content out on Football Yannick that I'm doing, so do go check that out. Other than that, my friends, I'm out. Enjoy the football. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.